Have you ever been listening to a piece of music and you've never heard it before? It's not like samples. The whole thing just sounds really familiar. You've heard it, but not exactly like this somewhere. But it's not an exact remix. It's just the exact same song, but with something slightly different. Because I had that in season 5, episode 3 of Black Mirror, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. Because the first song that Miley's character, Ashley O, is singing in this episode sounded quite a lot like Head Like a Hole by 9 Inch Nails. Now, I've said before, when I'm looking at any of the analyses and reviews I do, I try not to watch anyone else's. I try not to look up information beforehand because I don't want it to influence what I say. But I had to. It was bugging me that much. I was like, this is Head Like a Hole, isn't it? And I found out that Trent Reznor actually gave his consent for this. He said, yep, rework them, have access to it, that's fine. I like it, go for it. And that, I think, says just how much the message of this episode is important. A man I respect and admire from the first time that I heard his music, which was actually not Pretty Hate Machine. It was the Downward Spiral first album, and I was young and found a lot of the songs funny because all the swears. Yeah, I was a teenager. But over the years, I've learned the nuance. I've looked into more of the repertoire of this man, and I love what he does musically and lyrically. And yeah, Head Like a Hole is very familiar to me. That's why I had to look it up, and I'm so glad, like I say, that he gave his consent for them to do it. But it was throwing me for a long while. I could not get past it. But this episode is very much an episode of WTFs, constantly. I think the first half is very serious. It's very grounded. It's very much like, you're seeing this pop starlet who wants to break out, who wants to do something different, change direction, and isn't being allowed to by her controllers. I mean, her management and her PR people. Controllers. And the actual doctors at times as well, medicating her. She is being kept down. She is being kept docile and sanitized. But she doesn't want that. She wants a different life. She wants to be free of this. And at the end of the episode, where she actually does a cover of Head Like a Hole properly, the implication is, well, I say implication, it's pretty much exactly. It wasn't just after the accident where Catherine was sanitizing the songs and reworking them to be more poppy and user-friendly. It was all the way through, because she said she wrote it ages ago, but she'd never been able to do that version. And I like that. I like the way that we've got this kind of idea seeded. Also, it's weird, in this universe, technically Miley Cyrus wrote Head Like a Hole, but again, detach yourself from that. I mean, I will not lie about it. I watched some episodes of Hannah Montana and I was like, and I've never really been a fan of Miley's musical career, but I had a massive newfound respect for her with this episode, because, like I say, this is very much a story that she's probably aware of. Even if she hasn't quite lived it in this way, she's still very much aware of it. She's probably got friends who've been through the mill, a lot worse than she has. And the fact that she's willing to do this, I think, says a lot about her character. And I love it for it. But this is a very, very peculiar episode. Like I say, the first half's very serious. But as soon as, after she's in the coma and everything like that, and they're sort of taking the songs out of her brain, as soon as Rachel's Ashley 2 doll is on the scene and gets the limiter taken off the brain, it just becomes like a comedy caper film, as it were. It's amazing that the total shift is like it's that fast it actually hurts, but it doesn't suffer for it. That's the great writing and the great direction, the great talent at play here. It suddenly changes into kind of like a madcap comedy caper, with occasional moments of like, oh, by the way, this is still not great. But it really becomes a new beast, and it's great, and I really enjoyed it. I have enjoyed Miley Cyrus's content, under Charlie Brooker's umbrella, and I don't feel bad saying that. Like I said, the version of Head Like a Hole at the End is passable. I'm not probably going to go out and buy the single, because I know they've released some music. I'm not going to go out and buy it necessarily, but I don't hate it. And like I say, I've got a newfound respect for this one. But this one, where Smithereens was lacking in references, they knew that they were going to be silly, so it's like, chuck all the references possible. So when there's a news ticker when she's in a coma, bang, bang, bang. If you're looking at the ticker, there's so much there. We've got Saito Gamer mentioned. We've got a reference to a museum owner, in a building in flames, which is clearly Black Museum. And we see architect arrested. And I think that's Crocodile, because that's the only time I can think of an architect being arrested. And of course it's the usual, news channel they use. But also, what hospital does she go to? St. Juniper's, the anglicised version of San Junipero. This really lays on the references because it can. It's like, hey, let's do it. It's kind of weirdly companion-y to Black Museum in that way. They both ended a recent season, and it was both heavily laden with references back. But yeah, back to the episode, itself. I think the message here, is a very important one. It is, about sort of letting these pop starlets change and grow. We approve of it in everyone else. But why not our idols? Why can't our idols change who they want to be? But I think the biggest message here is empowerment. This Ashley 2 doll and the sanitised version of Ashley O herself, and really the pop industry, sells the idea of you can do anything if you believe. You just have to reach for those dreams. You just have to try. And we see Rachel trying to emulate Ashley, and she even goes to the talent show thing, and it's pitch perfect, carbon copy, until the stool falls and she can't deal with it, because it doesn't teach you that. You're not taught in empowerment how to deal with setbacks. The idea that go out and you can do anything doesn't give you the idea that rejection is a thing. It leads to false sense of entitlement. It leads to bratty behaviour because of that. And a lot of the time people are decrying the child themselves or the parents. But is it not the world that we're asking them to grow up in? Is it not the world that says, just dream it and you can do it? Where it doesn't tell you that you may have to go through years and years of education, years and years of formal training, years and years of rejections to even get on the bottom rung. Empowerment and motivation and ambition is not itself a success. Telling people they can do anything is great, and I fully support the idea. Don't get me wrong. But true empowerment comes from also guiding them towards that idea. You have to let them know the process. If you told any tween girl that you can do anything, but you have to do this, 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 and this, how many copycats would suddenly disappear from the world? How many, X Factor wannabes and Britain's Got Talent or America's Got Talent or whatever country you're in, Got Talent contestants would suddenly go, there's a lot of work involved here actually, can we not? I'll back down on this. That's the message we need to teach. It's not just going out and grabbing every opportunity. It's preparing for it mentally and physically and getting the right skill set. And I love the fact that, again, it's a Black Mirror episode with Miley Cyrus. Someone who has gone through, a good version of the tale because she knows the hard work that's involved because of what her dad's had to do to get to his level of fame. And even that was like one-hit wonder territory. She's out there giving this message to her fans, basically. She's giving this message to the real Rachels of this world by being in this episode. And like I say, I respect her for that. And I love the fact that Charlie Brooker and, like I say, his whole team have gone, we can do this, we can make this work. Let's get her on board. I love it. And I think this has been one of the, although the shortest, one of the best seasons of Black Mirror to date. Because it's told us very good tales and hasn't just gone, you know, technology gone bad. And this is what I like from Black Mirror. Again, I said at the start of this run, I'm not making baseless claims whether this is the end or whether it's going to go for 10 more years. I've not even looked into if they're, renewed for another year or anything like that. I don't care. I'm ignoring all of that information, and I'm just optimistic towards a future of Black Mirror that hopefully continues with this quality of storytelling. But normal service will start to be resumed soon, so I do hope to join me for everything coming up. And as we roll towards the second half of the year, there's a lot of stuff planned. I can't wait to get some of it out to you at least. Some of it I'm kind of dreading because it's a lot of work and a lot of effort, but hey, that's the message of this video. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and as always, take care.